Good day, fellow captains, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be taking a quick look at all of the commanders for the Star Trek special event so that before this event ends, you have the opportunity to look at all of these commanders and see if any of these skills are something that you are interested in attaining before these go away for, I don't know, a little while, a year, or a few months, however long. As I said in my last video, if you are not really interested on purchasing these commanders and ships right away, again, oftentimes these special events come back around quite quickly, so you shouldn't really have to worry about these disappearing forever. The only special event I don't see come around as often anymore is probably the Warhammer one, but it did come back a few months ago, so they are still bringing those events back, even the ones that are a little on the older side that aren't as popular. So even if the Star Trek event wasn't that popular, which I'm sure it was because there's a lot of nerds out there like myself, you don't really have to worry about it. It'll probably be back, and more than likely you are going to be able to purchase these ships again if you happen to miss out on this run here. And I just want to clarify before we take a look at these commanders that I am not a carrier player by any means. So, I mean, Captain Picard seems good to me, but I may be wrong. I don't have a lot of experience with carriers. With that said, Commander Picard, make it so. Bomber HP increase by 3.2%, torpedo bomber HP 3.2%. Now we're just going to look at the unique skills here just to make this a little quicker. Out of sight, dive, and skip bomber detectability, -7%. Bomber HP increased by 12%. Pretty decent. And next up, engage. Bomber dispersion radius of dive bombers, -4%. I think that's pretty good. Again, I'm not exactly sure, but it seems like these bombs are pretty accurate when I've used them. Heavy consequences could be a good second choice, but again, not a carrier main. I have no idea really what's really good or bad with these particular set of skills, but it seems like in the line of just adding to the damage and HP of dive bombers is probably the best way to go with Commander Picard. It feels kind of weird to say Commander Picard and not Captain Picard, but anyway. Next up, we have Commander Gowron. Now, this is the special commander that kind of goes with the Bortos, but after looking at Gowron and kind of using him for a little while, I still don't think he's as good as Azura Lane Cheshire. Looking at Gowron's base trait, you're welcome to try incoming damage from projectiles to your cruiser while her secondary battery is aiming or shooting, -9%. So pretty good if you're getting in close quarters with the Bortos. I don't necessarily recommend that, but you know, to each their own. It's your own playstyle. If you're going to do that, I would definitely choose his unique trait, Sword of Kahless. Main battery shells that travel less than 7 kilometers deal extra damage with a maximum of 10%. He also has a fairly unique skill for cruisers, Will to Rebuild, which is pretty important if you are going to be getting close up with enemy ships and brawling for the majority of your time in matches. This could be the difference between you staying alive or going back to port prematurely. Looking at our next commander, Commander Sela, her main trait, Singularity Core, is actually really good. Torpedo speed for a maximum of plus 2.5 knots and engine boost cooldown time, -4%. That's pretty good, but when all these skills are put together and you have the right inspirations, along with Tal Shiar Cloak, -100 meters to the detectability of your torpedoes, and sea detectability range, -7%. It messes up your smokescreen dispersion time a little bit, but it's really not a big deal when you start to focus on building your torpedoes for detectability speed, and range, making this a very dangerous commander for torpedo boats. When choosing her, you're going to lose a little bit of detectability on your destroyer, but if you want hard-hitting, fast torpedoes, she's the one you're going to want to choose. And for our final commander, Commander Spock. This one was a little bit of a miss for me, but maybe I'm wrong, maybe you built him in a different way and it worked out for you. Live long and prosper is his main trait, total HP restored by repair party per 1% HP lost, 0.15%. Given that this repair party on this ship is not that great, it's actually weaker than the Gneisenau, which the ship is based on, I would hope that this would help in the long run. For his other unique skill, Fascinating, each main battery shell hit resulting in damage increases secondary battery damage to the same ship up to 100%, plus 3%. Now, if they had made it so that each secondary battery shell hit resulting in damage increases the secondary battery damage, I think this would have been a lot better because the secondaries fire a lot faster, you have a lot more of them, but, you know, they did what they did, and I think it makes that skill a little too weak to actually be useful in battle, especially with this ship only having 6 main battery guns, and these shells being so inaccurate compared to other battleships of other nations. And so, Commander, with all of that information firmly in your grasp, I leave it to you, the viewer, to decide whether these commanders are for you or not. With these unique traits, I would say these are some of the better commanders that we've seen show up in the game in quite a while. But I think there were also some misses when it comes to the commander traits and what they could have been, especially with Spock. As a general overview, I personally wouldn't strive to get Gowron, not if you have something like Azura Lane Cheshire. You already have an extremely strong commander in your pocket there that you can just use for that ship or the Edinburgh rather than Gowron, because I think it fits the ship playstyle more, especially when it comes to how I play cruisers. Now, I can't say much about aircraft carriers and Captain Picard and him being a commander and his commander skill, but from the time that I've used him, he seems pretty useful, especially if you're going to focus on dive bomber bomb penetration and damage and survivability. But given as I'm pretty sure the Enterprise is the only American carrier with AP bombs, it's a little niche, so I don't know if it's actually worth it to go out of your way to purchase Captain Picard.
How many lines? This is your last chance. The guards are coming.
There are 4 lines!
But for the 4th and final commander, Commander Sela, this is the one where if I didn't have her, I'd probably go out of my way to pick her up. Her unique traits are extremely strong, especially given it's all torpedo based, and she is a Japanese commander, where torpedo boats reign supreme. This is a commander where you could add inspirations and make these torpedoes much more dangerous than they already are. Just like you saw earlier with my commander build where I put on Space Fishy and Raizo Tanaka to improve torpedo speed and torpedo damage. Now, when all of those are combined, I ended up with torpedoes that moved 71 knots, which is pretty incredible for torpedoes at tier 6, especially given these are Japanese torpedoes and they hit so hard and reload relatively quickly. With Commander Sela, I feel like it's probably one of those commanders that you are going to want to consider picking up if you enjoy playing destroyers. If destroyers are not your thing, however, maybe just let her pass on by and give it consideration another day. As I said a couple times already, these commanders will more than likely come back, so rushing into buying anything special event wise is probably not a good idea unless you're absolutely certain that it's never going to come back into the game again, i.e. the Vallejo or the San Diego. Things like that, I'm sure you could make the argument you should pick it up because you probably will never be able to acquire it again. However, with these special event commanders, they're going to come back around. If you don't have the cash for it right now, or it is not your particular playstyle right at this moment, let them go. I feel like when it comes to this special event, ships and commanders, really the only need to have is the Bortos, and the runner-up being Commander Sela. I was going to do some strange rating system of like a 1 to 10 for each commander, but I feel like that's not really realistic. Everyone has their own playstyle, and even if this commander works really well for me and it's like a 9 or a 10, maybe it's not a 9 or a 10 for you, and that rating means nothing. I can only give you the impression that I've gotten from it, give you some sense of how I've done in games with these commanders, and let you decide from there without some kind of arbitrary rating. Now this video is kind of slapdash, it's kind of a mess, but I wanted to kick it out before this event ended so that you had a little bit of a better idea what these commanders were like, what their unique traits were, so that if you wanted to buy them, you could make a more informed decision from somebody that already has them, leveled them up, and has used them in games. Again, Sela and Captain Picard are probably the best of the bunch. Gowron is fine, but I don't think there's a problem with letting Spock slide on this one. I just don't think he's very valuable when it comes to being a battleship commander with the traits that he possesses. But that is it for me and this particular video about the Star Trek commanders. Thank you for joining me and for getting to the end of this video. I know that I tried to keep it relatively short. I would like to take a moment here at the end to say thank you so much, everybody, for your support in growing this channel. All of your likes, your subscriptions, your comments, everything helps with that YouTube algorithm, and I really appreciate it because it is actually quite difficult to build a YouTube channel. So I appreciate all the support you've given me, and I plan on making more content in the future. And I would like to remind everybody that once I hit that 100 subscriber mark, that I will be doing a gift card giveaway, either PlayStation or Xbox. Now, the faster we get there, the faster I can get rid of these gift cards, so think about sharing these videos to friends, enemies, loved ones. It really doesn't matter, anybody. Just send it out. The sooner we get to that 100 subscriber mark, the faster I can start giving out these prizes. If you enjoyed this content, consider subscribing. Leave a like, hit the notification bell for future content like this, and even comment down below letting me know any ships that you're interested in seeing a closer look at, any ships you're interested in seeing gameplay of, or even other games you might be interested in seeing. I'm Buckshot Bucky. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you in the next video.